like to call to order Town Council public hearing and regular meeting, July 20th, 2023, Cape Charles Civic Center. Call to order, roll call, please.
Buckles present.
Holloway present.
Bennett present.
Buda present.
Grossman present.
Fulmer present.
Let me know we've established a quorum, and if we could all stand for a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, 3A, zoning map amendments from commercial -1, C1 to commercial residential CR. 107 Mason Avenue, tax map 83A3-2-1-74.
Nobody has signed up to speak, and I did not receive any comments prior to the meeting.
I'll make a motion to end the public hearing.
Second. Well,
We have a second.
We have two
we
items.
have a second
two
item.
items first.
We have the zoning
Yeah, I need a
amendment, and
motion
then we
on
have
the
another.
zoning map amendment.
Who's made it already and seconded?
For that or for,
Yes.
okay. Then I move for adoption of ordinance 202-307-20A.
No,
no,
you're
we
ahead
have
of
to
yourself.
discuss.
That's later on in the
We'll
meeting.
take that on the new business.
8A.
Yeah, all we're doing is a public hearing.
This is-
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we're just, so there's no testimony for the first one, let's move to the second
You
one.
got it.
Then someone will make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right. Motion Avenue lots, tax map 83A3-2-1-75B and 83A3-2-1-77.
I don't have, there's no one signed up to speak, nor did I receive any comments in writing prior to the meeting.
Second.
Did we do them in reverse order?
No, that's the order I have here.
How about the real property disposal? Are we,
That's next.
but it's still part of the public hearing.
Yes.
Is it your first time in?
We're all so big.
Yes.
All right, public hearing 3B, real property disposal, Monroe Avenue parcel tax map 83A3-1-418A.
Nobody has signed up to speak, nor did I receive any comments in writing prior to the meeting.
All right,
Here we go.
third time's a charm. Make a motion to close public hearing.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, public hearing is closed. Okay, so recognition of visitors, presentations, and let's see, proclamation for Coast Guard Appreciation Day. Do I read this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Town of Cape Charles, proclamation 202-30720, Coast Guard Station Cape Charles Appreciation Day, August 3rd, 2023. Whereas Coast Guard Station Cape Charles provides service to the nation and the region by being always ready, semper partus, to perform, paratus, to perform their missions. And whereas Coast Guard Station Cape Charles embodies the Coast Guard core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty. And whereas Coast Guard Station Cape Charles commits themselves to excellence by supporting and executing their operations in proficient and professional manner. And whereas Coast Guard Station Cape Charles leads by example and faces challenges each and every day to protect and serve the maritime community selflessly to ensure the safety and security of the people on our waterways. And whereas the Coast Guard was founded 233 years ago on August 4th, 1790, now therefore be it proclaimed that the Town Council of the Town of Cape Charles hereby recognize August 3rd, 2023 as Coast Guard Station Cape Charles Appreciation Day in the town and call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt proclamation 2023-0720.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, proclamation. All right, public comments. Do we have anybody signed up to speak tonight?
Yes, LD Davis.
All those things on the agenda, and I'm the show. Thank you, Mayor and Town Council, for this opportunity to be heard. In August of 17, April of 18, and August of 20, I have come before you with concerns about the Community Trail Phase 3 project. I'm here again. Today I walked the 300 block of Mason Avenue and found 4 light fixtures on the entire block. Yet the final design work that is to be sent to VDOT for approval of the Phase 3 project contains 10 light fixtures between the north side of Mason Avenue and the south side of Randolph Avenue. Let me remind you that Peach Street is shorter in length than the 300 block of Mason Avenue and is a mixture of commercial and residential properties. This lighting is overkill and an unnecessary expense. Public safety comes first, but common sense must prevail. Also, as I reviewed the proposed design, I was surprised to find that the landscaping for Phase 3 is to include 12 crepe myrtles, 28 yapon hollies, 874 liripe plugs, and 18 stelladora daylilies. Once again, overkill. Who will maintain these plantings, or will they suffer the same fate, disease and death, as those on the Community Trail Phase 3 North Peach? While Public Works does the best job they possibly can, they are understaffed for the time, energy, and maintenance this overplanted landscape design requires. Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same result. Let us begin this project by making sane, smart, and dollar-wise decisions. Thank you for your time and your commitment to Cape Charles.
Thank you.
No one else has signed up.
No one online? Consent agenda, can I get a motion to approve of agenda format, approval of minutes, and approval of May 31st, 2023 financial report?
So moved.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull out the financial report separately
Okay,
and propose adoption of the format and meeting minutes.
Second?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so let's go
All right,
to,
I'll make the motion that we adopt the financial report and then open up to the comment I have for that. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the May 31st financial report.
Second.
any discussion?
Yeah, the discussion I had was the comment with regards to the engineering services from HDA. I had asked the treasurer once before, and the comment back to me was that right now, the 3 contracts that we have with them are not broken out, and we get invoiced with all 3. And my comment is, then, is lack of accountability for each of those 3 projects on the engineer side. From their perspective, this is a good thing. I can just move costs around and not be accountable. And I'm asking, in this particular case, we go back and ask them to break out costs in the future.
Okay,
Okay?
I'll do that.
That's all I have.
Any other discussion?
So we have a motion, we have a second, we now vote.
All in favor of approval of May 31st, 2023 financial report?
Aye.
With the proposed changes.
Well, the
But
follow-up.
we're not changing the
With the
report.
follow-up.
Yeah, it's a future action that I will act on and report back on.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Financial report is carried. No unfinished business. All right, now we're getting to new business, zoning map amendments from commercial 1, C1 to commercial residential CR, 107 Mason Avenue, tax map 838A3-2-1-74.
It's been so long since I've seen you. Good evening. So we received this application on May 26th from the two property owners who own, they each own 2 lots over here. And this comes as a result of numerous conversation with the town over the last 5 or more years on one of these lots in particular. So just to go you through the history. During the comprehensive plan update in 2022, we did discuss these 4 lots and the possibility of rezoning them from commercial 1 to commercial residential. 2 of these are under common ownership of RL and B Seaside Investments LLC, and these lots are vacant. And then 2 of the lots are under common ownership to Nancy T. Rooney, with 1 lot being vacant and 1 lot with a 3,300 square foot, 1-story building. We have been approached on numerous occasions by either Ms. Rooney or other family members when they own the property for the owner of that building to be able to reside in that property, and trying to find what was the best approach under our zoning to make that happen. And they had been informed early on, about 7 years ago, 5 years ago, thereabouts, that they would need to build a second story onto the premises and then have them live in the second story for residential to happen, because that's a requirement under the C1 zoning district. And they've indicated multiple occasions that they could not meet that requirement. They just didn't have the resources and really didn't feel that was in the best interest, especially since at that time the current owner within the Rooney family, which was her mother, was elderly, and going to a second-story living accommodation was really not very viable. So, with that said, we had discussed it during the comp plan process again and felt we had consensus from both the town council and the planning commission that this would be something we could get supportive behind, of looking at a rezoning consideration into a district that made residential very viable on the first floor. I brought this to the Planning Commission in February of 2023 as a cleanup issue once we adopted the comp plan, to see if they would be willing to serve as the applicant or proponent on the matter. And the Planning Commission indicated they would not, and they really wanted the property owners to be the applicant. So it took me a little bit of time to organize a meeting with the property owners, which we finally did. They agreed to come in and do a joint application together, which has got filed, and we then held a public hearing with the Planning Commission on Tuesday, July 11th. There was no public comments at that Planning Commission meeting. There was some continued discussion with the Planning Commission on this matter. Before I get to that, I did want to, again, remind everybody, when we did revise the comp plan back in December, after we included and had this conversation, we felt having that block serve as some sort of transition zone from the residential that is from Bay Avenue up to Harbor on Mason, which is residential with the exception of the hotel. There is 1 commercial, but that went through a conditional rezoning process several years ago, and have it serve in that transition zone before it moves into full commercial. And that seemed to be quite supportive of everyone, and that's how we reflected in the comp plan on the future land use map. And one of the things to note, as we've said, is we've had some vacant land on that corner. It's always been vacant. So clearly, we've given it a good 90 years of effort to see if commercial would really migrate to that end of Mason. That just hasn't been the case. So I think this is a good cross for us to consider moving it to a CR designation. So it could still have commercial, but it could have residential, and residential may be the more likely development pattern that should happen on that block. And so we've included what the zoning districts say about each one of those districts, so you understand that. And from the Planning Commission discussion, again, they wanted clarity about single-family residences. Under CR, they would be permitted by right, whereas under C1, it can only happen through a conditional use permit and only on the second story. Can similar type buildings be erected on the vacant lots? Yes, they could each have a full residence, or they could have a shared building with residential and commercial space within that building. It could be 1 story, it could be 2 stories, or up to the height allowed in that zoning district. And if you're not familiar with our CR zoning district, because we don't always talk about it, it doesn't come before you often, we did give some examples at the Planning Commission that from the Town Hall building all the way out to Fig Street, that basically is CR. And the most recent example is right next to the Town Hall building. There used to be the DACA Tea House. That is a CR, that is Zone CR, and had a commercial business in there, but it's also had a residence in there. And they have only recently chose to cease the business and continue in the residential use of it. So that's an excellent example of what the CR district can do for someone. So we wanted to make sure you were aware of that. So the Planning Commission has recommended, through a vote from Commissioner Grossman, to recommend the rezoning of these 4 parcels from Commercial 1 to Commercial Residential, and was seconded by Commissioner Holloway, and the motion was carried unanimously. So I'm here if you have any further questions for me.
You have one.
Couple of clarifying questions. So for the existing 107, and I apologize because I'm busy and I probably could have gone back and found this, so I apologize for not having the time. So was the proposal, I think at one time they were talking about having an apartment in the back on the first floor and keeping the front commercial.
Yes.
But now
That's-
it's all residential.
No, that's still the intent.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, excellent.
Yes.
But, okay, for that structure, okay.
Yes.
Perfect. I like that better. My second question is, in terms of precedent, I think some time ago, and I might be mistaken, you and I talked about there's another commercial space that's being used as residential. So would this lead towards making it easier? I don't want to, what I don't want to see is
Sure.
things that are obviously
Sure.
look like commercial
Sure.
spaces.
So rezoning is the appropriate and legal way to allow residential to happen in a mixed commercial district. This is the actually legal appropriate way under your zoning ordinance. There have been other examples that I have seen over the last 5 to 7 years of how this town has addressed similar requests coming forward. Do I find them consistent and under legal authority were done appropriately? No, I don't. But they were done, and that's approval granted by this town, and I'm not looking to undo any of those. Some of them were done under the guise of the Fair Housing Act, under the federal Fair Housing Act, of saying that they needed to provide handicapped or first-floor units for handicapped accessibility. And I don't dispute there's a need for that. There was just no sort of deed restrictions put in place to accompany that sort of action to ensure that they really got continually used for that purpose. Others were done through conditional use permits, but there is no guise to allow first-floor residential anywhere in the commercial C1 district, but those approvals were provided. So I think this is the best way. It is totally legal under our ordinance, so I don't think there's any question down the road anybody would question the veracity of this happening on this property. Has this been easy? That's why I smiled.
I know it is not.
I don't think the property owners of 107 Mason would consider this an easy process. So it's been, as I said, more than 5 years of their petitioning for this to finally get to a resolution that they feel confident is going to stand and survive and represent their interests as well. And it represents the town's interests as well. This is allowed within the zoning district that we're proposing to move them to.
Could I add a comment too? If you're concerned about precedent, it's good that you brought it up, because now it's part of the record. And as the zoning administrator clearly stated, we're allowing this because of the transition nature and the way and the current development status of the property of the parcels in question. So you can make the affirmative comment that will be put in the minutes that this is not intended to be a precedent going further into the commercial district, and that'll help clarify it for any future action.
And it is.
That's perfect, that's what I wanted to say.
And as part of that, that's why I propose a particular motion for your consideration. It's supported and backed by our comprehensive plan. And so, yes, this is not meant for other areas of town that you would have to maybe go back and amend the comprehensive plan to put that sort of zoning into consideration. We did that through our process early
Transition
on.
location is key.
Yes.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yep.
Exactly what John said.
Any other questions?
We'll get to discussion.
Well, I'll make a motion.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 20230-720A, approving the zoning amendment and the tax map for the 4 parcels that are written into the staff report from commercial C1 to commercial residential.
Can I get a second?
Do we want to add
If you could, the
Well,
supporting,
the vote is supported by the comp plan and future land use map.
thank you.
Second.
All right, so I move for adoption of ordinance 2023.
We have to discuss?
I will get to it. I move for adoption of ordinance 2023-0720A, amending Cape Charles zoning from tax map parcels 83A3-2-1-74, 83A3-2-175A, 83A3-2-175B, and 83A3-2-1-77 from commercial 1, C1 to commercial residential CR as noted and forego the reading of the ordinance. And is there any discussion?
Yes. I guess 2 points. In reading the purpose of the commercial residential zoning, it seems that we are doing the opposite of what the purpose was. So when it was written, it says that the purpose is to, since we have residential buildings within the commercial area, that this would, as it says, the intent of this zone is to promote continued residential character while allowing commercial uses to be introduced. So it was saying, we have residential, you can then put commercial there. What we are now doing is say we have commercial, and now you can put residential there. So to me, this is kind of going backwards. A second point I have on this is, as we develop the former Tavi property, that doesn't mean there won't be commercial development on this corner at that point. And if the resident, so for 5 to 7 years, the owners of the property knew it was not legal to live in that property. Yet they did that anyway. And we have allowed that to happen for years. So I have some concerns that this is more than just making this right for someone who has not violated what our ordinance is to begin with. And so I think for those 2 reasons, I'm opposed to this.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, let's have a roll call vote. Bennett,
Yes.
Buckholz,
Yes.
Budda,
No.
Ulmer,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes.
Holloway.
yes?
All right, that's 5-1. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mason Avenue lots, tax map 83, or is that the same one? No.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the same one, sorry. Oh, did I go out of order?
No, we're on
No,
page
this is
eight,
the new
eight,
one.
eight,
Yeah.
8B.
All right. All right, sale of Monroe Avenue parcel. I have that on the thing.
One more thing.
Oh, Monroe Avenue, there we go, okay. Just over. Got it. Sorry.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, this is, as we have discussed in prior meetings, that we were be putting some of our property out for bid as a potential revenue source for some of our other projects that we're doing. There was parcel over on Monroe that we replatted to include a portion of a lot that excluded the pump station that's over there. We had to carve that out as part of the utility sale, so that created kind of an irregular shaped lot, so we replatted that. The county has not caught up with us yet, so I laid on the table the actual parcel. So that's what's actually being sold with the layout and the dimensions. So just would make sure that you have that. That'll be entered as part of the record.
We lost the lot, that lot line right
Yes, that's going. It's all one lot now.
here. Good.
And so we put it out to bid with a minimum bid of $250,000. If you'll recall, we budgeted for that in this year's budget as a revenue source to help offset the costs of the library project. The winning bid came in at $300,010. I think it's a very fair price for it. I mean, it's a larger than normal lot. But we think it's a very reasonable price. And we'll amend the budget at mid-year to catch us up with this and use this as a partial revenue source for the library project as discussed earlier. So if there's no other questions, the staff recommends approval.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 20230-720B for the sale of the Monroe Avenue parcel.
Second.
All right, I move for adoption of ordinance 20230-720B, sale of Monroe Avenue parcel, as noticed and forward to a reading of the ordinance. Any discussion? So the only question I have on this, is I know that lot line's out of there. Is it still just one lot to where they can put one home on it now, or can they still divide both lots and put two homes?
Well, they would have to go through a subdivision process to do that.
Okay, so it is no longer subdivided.
So
right?
we-
It won't be able to be subdivided since it would be a non-conforming lot.
That's true, that's
right?
true.
So
Right.
it's a single lot.
Okay.
Yes.
And if it's capped as, specific size house anyway, it can't be ginormous, so.
Anybody else? All right, roll call vote. We'll go the other way. Holloway,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Buda,
Yes.
Buckholz,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
All right, it's unanimous. Name's up a little bit. All right, tourism zone credit payment.
So, Mr. Mayor, we brought you the current batch of past due credits that were due under this program last time, and since that time, we've got another application in. Now, I recall I asked you last time about whether we should repeal this program, and that's going to be on the agenda later on tonight, but because it's still an active program, someone made an application, they qualified, they're in. So our recommendation is that you go ahead and accept this latest application. Current credits due $4,061.80.
I make a motion that we approve the tourism zone payment for facility and connection fees and building permits to Cape Charles Mini Golf in the amount of $4,061.80.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Memorandum of agreement with Cape Charles Main Street.
So this one, Mr. Mayor, is our first renewal. We had our first 5-year agreement has expired. I met with executive director. We went through the old agreement and updated it. I apologize. I had meant to give the clerk the copy that showed changes, and I didn't. So I put on the desk in front of you this MOA that shows highlighted areas. The highlighted areas are the areas that have changed. So I'll just very briefly walk through them. They're pretty vanilla. The first page where it says advancing, before it was an affiliate. So we progressed in our process there. The term obviously is the term. We've updated the term of the agreement. Under the budget, we made this, what we try to do is reflect reality. We have 5 years of experience now. So if something didn't work right, we revised it to what is working and what we've been doing. So before the budget was required on March 1st. Well, that's an unreasonable ask that far in advance. So a request is due on March 1st. The final budget isn't due till June 1st. And that's more realistic. We also removed the requirement under capital projects. The prior agreement required a 5-year CIP plan. That's not really very practical either, so we weren't doing it, so we pulled it out. Then under procurement and property, we just added some flexibility. Before it said that the town will maintain and so forth. We said may, with the allowing for the option of Main Street to maintain these things if they have the ability. So just added some flexibility there. Under reporting, we actually added the in-person semi-annual report. There was the annual report before, but we added the in-person semi-annual. So those constitute the bulk of the changes. It's been a very successful and beneficial program for the town, and town recommends support approval.
Take a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the memorandum of agreement with Cape Charles Main Street.
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, just a comment, with regards to the reporting, we have a great annual report that's given by Main Street. If we can just get copies of the quarterly, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, that's part of, that's something they submit for their quarterly payments to us.
Oh, it's quarterly payments?
Yeah,
Okay.
when we give them our stipend quarterly, and they have to provide us that data quarterly in order to get their payment. So you're saying you want a copy of that?
Yeah, that's all. That's
Okay.
all.
Just you or everybody? I'll give it to just you for now. If anybody else wants it, let me know.
Yeah, neither.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. All right, adoption of new Cape Charles Town Code.
So this is a big one. This has taken an awful lot of work. As you know, our code gets stale over time for a number of reasons. A big one are changes at the state level, but also there's changes in our own processes and the way we do things. So we had contracted with Municode to do a thorough review of our entire code, excluding zoning. This is not zoning, we're doing zoning separately. So this is everything besides zoning. That was done for the 21 session. Then there were 2 special sessions, so we amended it to do that. And then we went through with our attorney, with the town attorney, and with town departments to see, well, what is changed in our processes, that sort of thing. And we went through it and made a fairly comprehensive update. This document before you now includes everything that's been approved by the General Assembly through the end of the 22 session. So it does not include the 23 session. But we said we weren't going to be doing this every year. We'll do this every number of years. In the interim, we will look to our own town attorney who tries to keep an eye out for things that will affect us. We also have access to the ML that monitors these things and lets us know. It's not 100%, but it's good for a few years until we can do our next update. The last ordinance, regular ordinance that was non-zoning that the council approved was on August 18th of 22. This includes that. There has been no other ordinance code adoption that the council's done until now, until later tonight. If you were to approve a change in the zoning, in the tourism zone, for example, that would be a change that is not here. It hasn't happened yet. So this is everything up until that is current as far as anything the town has done. Regarding changes to procedure, provided a color-coded change of all the nuances that have changed. The biggest one, there was only one that I considered to be substantive, that was not mostly just mechanical or process. I took this as an opportunity to work with our town attorney to fix our woefully inadequate noise ordinance. Our current noise ordinance is utterly subjective and unenforceable. We essentially don't have a noise ordinance. So we intended to talk about this as we went through the short-term rental process, regulation process, and we will continue to do that. I'm not saying this is the be-all, end-all. I'm saying this is a good first step. Should the short-term rental committee come back with additional recommendations, we can entertain them at that time and change this as you desire. But in the meantime, this gives us a fairly good, usable step that was patterned after a recently approved ordinance in Virginia Beach. Theirs was much more robust than ours. Theirs had both civil and criminal. I didn't put criminal in ours. I kept ours civil. Ours does not require the use of a sound meter, however, but it does give decibel readings as ranges. It comes down to officer discretion, but it's not as arbitrary now because it has approximate ranges. So we will develop certain have noise meters, but they don't necessarily have to be, calibrated and certified as if like the Virginia Beach one does. The point here is it's not so much whether or not the fine sticks. The point here is to get the noise to stop, right? And so now our police have something that they can use. So that's the main substantive one. Other smaller things. My predecessor, the previous town manager, one of the last things he did before he left, he snuck in a change that said that there were no pets allowed in any town building or facility. I'm not sure why he did that, but he did. It's something we've always allowed in the past, and frankly, something we have ignored since then. And so, I'll admit, on Saturdays when I come to work, I bring my Irish setter with me. So anyway, I deleted it. Yeah, so little things of that nature that just reflect reality are also included. As a general rule, we try to remove specific dollar amounts and just said we would set, the council would set that, individually so that it wouldn't go stale over time. That's pretty much it. So there was a lot here. We tried to get it to you early. We tried to give it to you like 2 weeks early so you had a chance to look at it. You were given both the red line option that shows all the added changes. So there was a lot to absorb. So this was a long time coming. I'm sorry it didn't get sooner. Other priorities kind of got in the way. I was hoping to have this to you sooner, but I'm pleased with the product the way it is now, and would recommend approval. I assume there would be several.
First of all, thanks for addressing the noise ordinance. I know we all have come upon that so many times and felt, especially our chief and the police department, thought our hands were tied. When I read this, and I could just truly just not be focusing correctly, it speaks to residents, but it doesn't speak to business. So we have some businesses that are in CR locations that create some challenges with noise. So did this not include them?
The way it doesn't matter where the noise is coming from. If it's heard above these levels within a residence, it's a problem.
Within the residence.
Within the residence.
So I see that within now, as soon as I read that. So it's that it's causing disturbance in those areas. It doesn't matter where it's coming from.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
If I may follow on with that, would that include a vehicle? So, some car is going down the street and playing loud music. Is a vehicle fall the same way?
I didn't scrap the entire old ordinance. I kept the original one and amended it and added to it. And one of the things I added to it was the use of vehicles, vessels, equipment, personnel devices, movement of goods and services, that sort of thing. So yes, a vehicle would be included. That one, item 6, was specifically developed after the clam operation situation. So yes.
Okay, so I think, I get it, that I was reading it more in the sense of where the noise was coming from, not necessarily who it was disturbing. So, I get it.
I did get a comment from somebody that was also confused. So now I'm looking at it again just to make sure, see if there's, maybe if there's a very simple tweak that would make it clearer.
Just the wording.
To make, yeah.
Because I read it several times and it wasn't quite.
So you're referring to section A1? Is that the one you're referring to? Yeah, that's, okay, so let's just look at it again. So the playing of any television set, radio, phonograph device, or any musical device, or other creation of vocal sounds in such a manner with such volume as to be heard above normal conversational levels, approximately 65 decibels, within any permanent dwelling.
So it's.
So the comment I got was within any other. So that it's not meant, the confusion was that it could be, are we talking about the place where it's being created or the place where it's being heard?
Right.
And so it's meant to be where it's being heard, obviously, not where it's being created. So, heard above, within, would it be more clear if we just said within any other permanent dwelling? Because you just added the word other? Does that,
No,
does
'cause
that work?
that would presume it's coming from a dwelling.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that could happen too.
It can, but I mean, I don't.
No, I'm saying that the first part of that sentence says will not be heard above conversational levels within any.
I mean, I think it
Oh,
says it
yeah.
now, right?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the way I read it, but now that's two people who have commented on it, so I thought it was worth discussing. But
Yeah.
I
I read it a couple times, and sometimes I struggle when things are scratched through and new color and
Yeah.
not reading it as a complete. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
don't.
let me take the track changes off for you.
Don't hold it on me. I just was.
well, my suggestion, we could approve it as is, and I suspect you probably get another pass at this when we bring the short-term rentals forward, and if we
That's
need,
where it's gonna be.
if we need to make a tweak, we can maybe do it then. Oh, So,
I have a question also regarding that. I noticed that the time frame between, and I don't have the copy up in front of me, one of them was 10 PM to 8 AM, the other one was,
9 to 7.
right. Was there a reason
Yes.
not to align them?
Yes, because the other, the 9 to, one was to account for commercial activity. Again, I was thinking of the clam operation, or any operation on Mason Avenue. I mean, so they have deliveries coming in earlier, or so I was trying to accommodate that, versus just the peace and quiet in the, over on Tazewell or something. That was the
Makes
reason.
sense. That's what I thought.
That's
I
the reason
just
for the
wanted to
difference
make
of,
sure.
difference of hours, yes.
On other, can I ask a question on a
Yes.
different one? On 8-36, the appeals with the Building Code Enforcement Inspection Board, Building Code Board of Appeals. So we changed, it was proposed to change the length of the term on that council from 1 year to 5 years. And as far as I know, that would be the only board that we have with a 5-year term. And going from 1 year to 5 years,
What other ones have 5 years?
We have, we have several that are 5 years. I think the planning, is it 5? I thought they were
Yeah,
4.
it is.
Historic, I think,
Yeah,
might be
Historic
5.
District Review Board is
There's a,
five.
there's a few of them that are 5 years.
okay, I was thinking those were 4 as well, but if they're 5, then that seems to make sense. But that, to me, was a large change. And,
Any other questions?
I had two. One you addressed with regards to the fees being established by the town, moving into a separate document that we'll get to see again.
Oh, council approval.
All right,
Every one of them says as approved by council.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking for the tax on the fortune teller.
Yeah.
The other one I had a question on, we have a
Call us
section.
on your side gig.
Well, that's right after the massage parlor. So.
And the pool halls, don't forget them.
Dance hall and pool hall, yeah. The public alleys, there's a section on public alleys that some changes were made relative to sidewalks, it's buried under sidewalks. We hadn't changed anything there, and I'm just looking to see if our recent Board of Zoning Appeals case that we lost part of an alley on one of the streets, we'll have to come back and perhaps look at this section again?
Again, I didn't make any substantive changes. These were mechanical changes. As we've developed other issues, as your comment earlier today in an email to me regarding short-term rentals or the alley issue, those should all come back separately, and we'll discuss those as substantive issues separately.
I do have one other one. Article 2, Section 2-4, which had to do with town manager and not being indisposed or that a town manager wasn't in place. And we said that the assistant town manager would then take over. Well, if we don't have an assistant town manager, then, but it doesn't say that.
The charter says that.
Charter says that.
The charter says that.
Then
I thought we took
should
that.
they align?
I took that, you're saying it says assistant town manager? I thought we took
Yes.
that out.
It says, if the town has an assistant town
Oh,
manager.
if we
Right,
have one.
right.
Oh, okay.
But it is in our charter.
Yeah, so, again, if we ever had one, that would obviously be the appropriate person to do it.
Absolutely. I just didn't know whether we wanted to add mayor in here, or do we even need that section?
Well, it even goes beyond the mayor, because if the mayor's not available, it can be any one of the council members.
Let's just write in Paul's name.
Yeah, I mean, the charter trumps the code, so I think we're covered.
I don't know if this is the right place to bring this up, or if it's just a pie in the sky dream. But when we talk about, we're on, page 6 of what you guys gave us, 178, 28-7, and the sidewalks, shared use paths, et cetera. Is this a place of which we could put in golf carts, no golf carts on sidewalks? Just in everywhere?
Do we need that?
Yes. Because the poor little children in front of our inn are just about getting run over on their scooters because the golf carts are taking the sidewalks.
They're going on the sidewalks?
I'm sure.
They're not supposed to be on their scooters on the sidewalk either, are they? They're not supposed to be on the sidewalks on the scooters either,
Yeah.
are they?
On my house, they
Yeah.
have no Tazewell.
Oh, Tazewell, yeah.
I don't,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm talking.
Yeah, yeah.
That's already in there in the section where we talk about the golf cart regulations. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it is in there that the golf carts are not to ride on
Right,
sidewalks.
Chief, you don't have any, you have the authority to write anybody who rides a golf cart on the sidewalk now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already in there.
Well, I mean, a lot of people pulling on us up in their yard,
I realize.
sidewalks.
Right.
cars, because
Yeah, it's a separate,
I mean, that's discretion anyway, so.
yes. Yeah. It's the people flying down the sidewalk really that are a bigger concern than really just someone getting their car repaired. I mean, I have an issue with them parking in front. That bugs me beyond belief, but it's the flying on the sidewalks when people are trying to, for example, in our situation, trying to check in. I mean, the older people are rolling their luggage in a golf cart, it's like,
So-
they're gonna jump off in the grass.
So that's already in the code. When you see that, call dispatch. So,
Oh, I know that.
so, yeah.
I know, and I tell everybody on Facebook that, the tires hearing me say that. They're on it, take a picture, yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor, make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2023-0720C for our new town code.
Second.
All right, I move for adoption of ordinance 2023-0720C, an ordinance adopting and enacting a new code for the town of Cape Charles, Virginia, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not included therein, providing a penalty for the violation thereof, providing for the manner of amending such code, and providing when such code and this ordinance shall become effective, as noted and forego the reading of the ordinance. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please. Bennett.
Yes.
Buckholz.
Yes.
Buda.
Yes.
Fulmer.
Yes.
Grossman.
Yes.
Holloway.
Yes,
All right.
great job.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. And it's great that it's in the Muni code.
Yes.
Yes.
Searchability.
Yes, yeah. Long time
Community
coming.
Trail Phase 3.
This was a long time coming as well. Those of you who've been involved in this longer than I have. So as you know, we bid this out once before in 2019, and it came back too high. It was re-engineered and came back in. This one we had very little control over. This is a VDOT program, so modifying the design in any way extends things by months, if not years sometimes with them. So we have very little flexibility. Not surprisingly, the bids came in higher than what was budgeted. The base bid, well, the base bid with the VDOT grant and our budgeted amount is $73,532 over what we currently have budgeted. However, if you recall, when we built the capital budget this year, knowing the uncertainty of the capital market, we didn't try to guess by putting wild amounts in our budget. Instead, we put what we thought was a reasonable amount in our budget, and we left as unappropriated reserve in the fund balance of the capital projects fund, additional funds that you could appropriate should a project come along that you thought was worthy. We have over $742,000 sitting in the unappropriated fund balance of the capital projects fund. So we have more than enough money to cover the discrepancy here. The alternates were the light poles that we could remove from that and do in-house. Since the staff report was done, Bob did get some information on that, and for us to do it, it would be about $50,000 versus the $81,000 that was in the alternate. So kind of a no-brainer to not award that one, and we can do those later. And my suggestion is we would just appropriate that money at mid-year to do either in the spring or next year after this project was done. The other alternate was the south node of the park. A lot has changed since this was designed. That area, as most of you well know, has been kind of developed or moving towards a food court process, not just for our concerts, but for a lot of the big events. I'm not sure that the amenities that were included in this design are particularly appropriate to it anyway. Since we are well over budget, if we were to award it, it would be 100% town funded anyway. My suggestion is we not award that alternate. Go back to the drawing board, sit down with CCP, let's find out what we really need to do and make it a whole separate project, something that makes sense. So I do not recommend awarding either the alternates. If we were to award just the base bid, although it's over budget, I will make the point that we're still getting a sizable grant for this. For every dollar that we spend, we're getting $2.35 of state money for this project. So in my opinion, it's still worth doing, and I would recommend approval of the base bid.
Any questions?
I have one question. With regard to the alternate for the light poles and fixtures, is it in fact light poles and fixtures, or does the base bid include running the power?
Yes.
That
base
feeds
bid.
those
Yep,
poles?
Yep, that's all in. All we'd have to do is put in the poles and fixtures.
And would we have to put in all those poles at the same time?
No, we would not.
Could we
so
potentially,
We could re-engage in your discussion. So,
In my past. And, because we did talk about that every year as Vegas reference, but we also talked about that landscaping and having the crew that takes care of the north end of Peach and the overplanting. I really hope that we're going to be able to address that because that is complete overkill for that area and we just can't keep up with that. And I can't imagine we need that. We want more parking.
Browner Heights supposed to be taking care of that now?
Well, they're doing a great job on.
But that was
on
part of
ours.
their contract, wasn't it?
whose contract?
Browner Heights.
This, we just added.
Yeah, we just added them though. Yeah.
But it hadn't been for many years.
But it is now.
Yeah, I don't know if we've gotten to the point where we're pulling things out over on the north end or not, but we just don't want to get into that situation again and throw away good money that we can use toward other things. So I don't know where that fits into the mix.
Yeah, again, it's very difficult to change the design at this point.
But we should check if we put 151 plugs of lead.
They will see all the payment invoices that come in, and so they're gonna see all that. If it's not in there, I don't know what that'll mean. If we don't want that in there, we would have to do a deductive change order.
Oh, wow, we just buy them and give them away.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we'll buy it, we use it other places.
They can go elsewhere.
There's plenty of places that need it and need replaced, replenishment and things like that, but we just, and that is unbelievable overkill from a landscape perspective. And Bob knows, because we talked about that, and he agrees. So I was,
I'll check with Bob when he gets back. I was on vacation till yesterday, and Bob left this morning, so I haven't seen Bob since we got, since
he'll know the way around, and he also will know that we've brought up the lights and the landscaping the 3 times that it's come before us.
We don't have a motion.
so,
I'm going to.
yeah, those are both something we can try to finesse once we get the contract awarded. But
Okay.
I don't want to rock the boat until we get the contract awarded and we get that
I
grant money.
don't either, so I'm going to make a motion.
There you go.
I make a motion that we authorize the town manager to award the base bid construction contract to Conrad Brothers of Virginia Incorporated in the amount of $759,567.19, and any future contract change orders within 5% contingency reserve.
Second.
Any other discussion?
One more question. So by pulling out the south end of the park,
The alternates?
that would also, just like with the lights, give us the opportunity to involve the neighbors and residents in the discussions?
For the south node?
Yeah, for whatever
Yes,
changes.
yes.
Excellent.
But then we have total control. Right now,
Yeah.
you're involved in the beat up bureaucracy.
Yeah, no, I think we want
it's a
control
nightmare.
over that
Free money isn't free.
with input.
Yeah.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
Hallelujah.
carries.
So what's the next step then?
At least.
We go back to CDOT and then what are we thinking timing?
For the plantings?
No, just when construction start. When is construction going to happen?
For the hopefully off-season construction.
For the project itself. Oh, yeah, it's definitely not going to get started until after Labor Day.
Oh, sure,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But
It's hard for me to give exact schedules because
Always
we
good to
think
do
things are going to
road
happen at a certain
construction.
point and then something,
Right.
there's a hiccup at VDOT and,
But we're thinking toward the fall.
And who knows
Yes.
whose desk is gonna sit
yes. We kind of choreographed everything working backwards from after Labor Day.
We just need to make sure that we are having communications either through Main Street or directly with the businesses, and residents in that area.
Yes.
So that they're aware of that timeline as we get a better idea.
Yeah.
Because it certainly will impact that commercial area much more than it ever would have
Yes.
before.
Yes, we'll make an effort to make sure that once we have a firmer schedule,
Thank you.
yes.
All right, item G, repealing the town tourism zone.
So as we discussed last time and earlier this evening, back in 2016, the town adopted this ordinance to to promote tourism businesses in town. And at the time, it was, you know, it wasn't a bad idea at the time. But history has proven that it really has not been very effective. The amount of resources that's provided to a business is pretty minuscule. And considering the staff time it takes to implement the program, just trying to chase down the information, which we don't have, is difficult. As you saw last month when I brought it to you, we haven't made a payment since 2018, and we got all caught up last month. And so clearly this is not having a big impact on businesses. It's essentially just a free giveaway. Not to fault the one that was approved earlier tonight, but that's a good example. They only submitted it because they found out about it last month, after they'd already made the business decision to open the business and were operating. So it's just free money we're giving away. I don't blame them. I would have done the same thing. But it's not against them. I'm saying the program is not really helping. It's a huge strain on staff time, and it's just a waste of public money. So I would strongly request that you approve the ordinance that repeals this program.
Question?
Oh, just to add, anybody who's currently in the program will be grandfathered in. No, anyone that got in, because it's a 5-year program, they will continue to stay in the program, continue to get the benefits as they always have. We just will not be taking anybody new.
All right, there's no questions. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 20230720D, repealing the tourism zone program.
All right, I move for adoption of ordinance 20230720D, repealing ordinance 20161117, tourism zone ordinance, Article 12, Section 18-414 through 18-420 of Cape Charles Town Code adopted July 20th, 2023, as noticed, and forego reading of the ordinance. Any other discussion?
I would just say I was a big supporter of this when it was adopted, but I know, going back to before my time on council, regular discussions with the treasurer, that whatever arguable impact it may have had was not tantamount to the work put in by staff. And as I think John said earlier, this is not Cape Charles of 2016. So I'm not sure it really had any impact, but we don't need the incentives now.
Anything else? All right, can I get a roll call vote? Bennett?
Yes.
Buckles? Moda?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Grossman?
Yes.
Holloway?
Yes.
All right, the motion carries unanimously. All right, Mr. Town Manager, comments, please.
So I reported, I think, I don't know if I reported at the last meeting, or certainly I have in my weekly reports, that we had submitted our application to the SCC. We finally got that in. They have accepted the application, and the discovery process has begun. And I was incredibly naive about the amount of work that involves. We have received our second batch of discovery questions, and they only give you a couple of days to respond. Which is very difficult this time of year when I've got key staff or myself being gone. So this is taking a lot more time than I thought it was going to take, but it's going on. So we answered most, if not all, of the original first batch of questions, and I got a second batch today. So that's taking a lot of time.
Are these questions substantive? I mean, is there anything being asked that is like?
Additional detail. A lot of it's drilling down to the values, you know, that's what makes rates. So, yeah, I mean.
Nothing that's going to cause withdrawal of the application,
Oh, no.
redoing of the application?
Nothing that I've seen so far, just a lot of extra detail. I've also been working with Canoni on getting the lease for the visitor center restrooms, and that's becoming much more complicated than I thought. Finally got a draft lease from their attorney, from Canoni's attorney. I've given it to our attorney. He's got issues with it. I'm concerned that it's just another thing that's delaying what's going on. The concern is that there's no clear title to the land. And so if you don't have clear title, how can you give a lease for the land? And we're about to make significant public investment in that land. And so the risks is what we're trying to assess.
Well, how'd they give us the lease for the parking lot and the
Well, because there's no public investments there. So the risk to the town was minimal. We build a major public facility and then get evicted, we would never get evicted. We take it by eminent domain, right? So I personally think lawyers are doing what lawyers do. They make you aware of your risks. Then you make a reasonable decision based on that. So anyway, that's taking much longer than I thought, but I'm working on it. Also, while I was gone, we got the bids back on the harbor projects. Surprise, surprise, those were over as well. By a fair amount, about 24% over budget. If you add in contract administration, we're about 28% over budget. But again, like the comment I made earlier, we didn't know the construction environment, so we didn't overly pad these budgets. We have money in the unappropriated fund balance to do this. So again, I have not had a chance to talk to Bob. This happened while I was gone, and Bob left. I came back. Bob and I need to sit down and figure out how to recommend this. Our options are, a negotiated change of scope or not, and we'll bring you a recommendation next time. But I just wanted to let you know that they did come in. They are over budget, and we will be working on that and bringing that back to you next time. Staffing changes. We have some new folks. Harper Matthews, who was hired in Public Works, has moved over to the police department. She's going to be a new police officer. That created an opening in Public Works. We had a part-time person who is now moving up to take a full-time spot. So we have Nicholas Beach and Markeen Hines are both full-time maintenance specialists now in Public Works. And then Maureen Tamaris Medetz, who is working part-time now at the library, is also taking a part-time job in the planning department as an administrative assistant. So she'll be doing both to kind of get hours. So those are staffing changes this month. Also wanted to make you aware that we were just notified that a group of residents have hired an attorney who has filed an appeal on a recent BZA decision. This is the decision regarding the alley back over there in Washington. They're perfectly within their rights to do that. In fact, we kind of expected it. Half the residents wanted one thing, half the residents wanted the other, so it didn't matter how the BZA ruled. We expected a challenge one way or the other. I'm bringing it up to you to let you know that we have not been served yet, and I wanted to make sure you were aware that if any of you are approached or served, to contact me and or Katie immediately to let us know. Yes.
Question on that. So now that it's an appeal, where does it sit now as far as what's to be done in the alley? Is it
It's held in abeyance until the appeal runs its course, correct? Yes, please.
The process is it's an appeal into circuit court. It's a writ of certiorari. I can never say that word right. I hope I did. What will happen, we've advised everyone that has applied for permits through my office at this point. There was this right of appeal. There is a chance of this. We've urged them not to construct anything in the alley. They do it at their own risk. Some may choose to proceed forward. There are 2 fence applications. There was Mr. Elam's application, and then we had another one come in afterwards. Both of those have been issued. They have the right to build. They've been told it'd be in their best interest not to. That they could build, and the judge could tell them, take it all out. So we just want to make you aware. I can't stop them from building at this point until the judge issues some sort of order associated with that.
So where the survey lines are now, they are the way they are until this appeal runs its course.
Yeah, the survey lines won't change. It's rather whether the alley has some sort of authority or conveyance relative to our zoning ordinance language and the need to respect the alley or not respect the alley for a structure going in it.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you.
And then the last thing I have is we just confirmed that we will be getting the Shriners Parade again this year on April 5th. So that first weekend of August, the same weekend as Crab Slam, just like last year. So that'll be a busy weekend to have the Shriners Parade and Crab Slam on the first weekend of August. And that's all I had. I believe so, yes. That's all I have,
We
Mr.
could
Mayor.
push that back a little bit later so that people can get on, but I won't have to count it up. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to actually start off the comments this evening, and I just want to say thank you to the town manager and everybody in the town for, I think, at least while I've been here, probably the best 4th of July that we've had, right up to the fireworks. We finally beat Cherry Stone, and I'm very happy about that. And I hope next year we get an extra 2 minutes so we can beat them again. But no, I've gotten so many comments just about how great it was, the setup, and then the breakdown and the cleanup was just unbelievable. So I just wanted to publicly put it out there to thank you very much, and an awesome job.
Thank you, but I didn't do anything. So that's our public works. That's Julie. It's the police. It's Jeb Brady who got that fireworks display. It's a safe fireworks display.
Yes, indeed.
So I will pass that along.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Any other comments?
Well, something I talk about periodically, and I just haven't talked about it in a while, so I thought I would. We have a sign out on Route 13 that advertises a free fishing pier and a public beach, which I don't think at this point in time we need to be advertising. I think everybody in the county knows there's a beach here that they can come to, and our tourist load is such that we really don't need to advertise for more tourists to come to the beach. And free anything is just, So I really would like to see those two signs changed to something, even if it's blank, but to stop that. You had said that Main Street had some idea that they wanted to put something there, but that didn't happen either. So anyway, I think that those two signs need to go away.
So I got a call from
I was gonna say,
Yeah. yeah. So I've got a meeting with Main Street next week on that.
Good.
yeah.
Thank you.
How much do you?
It's been a year.
Didn't fall into.
I have nothing to do. We've got nothing to do. No, it is, and it's, those two things can be taken off immediately, and that I know would make you happy, and that may be the way to go.
Yeah.
The bigger solution as
Is
far
what
as
goes
what
up
goes
there.
there is kind of what the slow down process was, so, but we can work on getting those two things done. I don't know what it looks like underneath it, but,
Hang on.
It's just.
Get a sign maker to put something over it.
no, we only knew one.
I know nothing.
I have.
Yes, you're right ahead.
I just want us to be thinking, and I don't know if it needs to become an agenda item at some point or how that will happen, but I want to thank Andy and CC Ryder, Cindy Smith for taking it upon themselves to get a sign put up to advise golf carts that they can't go beyond the trestle there at the brewery. There have been very, very many sightings, I know the chief could speak to this, that golf carts out at Food Lion and the liquor store, and they are going up that path to do that. So Andy and CC Ryder took it upon themselves to at least get that sign up immediately. I have a broader next step, and I don't know if it's Canoni or Northampton County or how we as a town need to address that relationship of we need some signs on the old railroad path, because that's the way they're going. And I just think it's our responsibility. People are here new every week, and it looks kind of like, oh, it's a little road that will take you, vacation brain is a real thing, we know that. So I just feel we have a responsibility, and I don't know what the steps are to do that. But we have some other issues as far as New Street Landing and, why I can never remember that other community.
Tower Hill.
Tower Hill. There's advertising and selling places that say a golf cart ride, a short golf cart ride to downtown Cape Charles. So we
It
have
is a short golf cart
It
ride.
is. It's not a legal one, but yeah. So we just, I don't know. I don't know what our responsibility is, but I feel, I mean, it keeps, when I saw that picture the last time, it's so worrisome. It really, really is. And I just feel we have, are we gonna stop it from happening, but can we at least make an effort to communicate that? And I really appreciate you guys stepping up.
Yeah, we also did, South Park, right?
I saw it there.
That one's in the wrong place, by the way. That needs to be right at the exit of Bay Creek,
Right.
because they're already up to,
Yeah, no, but I figured they'd be.
well, Cape Charles Road, on which I saw a golf cart, that's a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Right, yeah,
Well,
exactly.
it doesn't help that the guy, whatever his name was, this Virginia Beach rental guy,
Yes,
is basically telling him, you can go anywhere you want, it's,
yeah.
35 miles an hour and going there. But
Well, that's the other problem too, they're picking them up with bait storage.
Yeah,
Yes.
but here's the problem with that, let's see, it's a license plates, and they're not street legal, they are street legal to buy and put a license plate, but if they're not registered as a street legal with a license plate, they can't do it.
They still can't go beyond 35 people with a plate, so they
And
cannot
they
go
have
on
license
55
plates,
miles.
and they have the stickers, but, yeah, and there's another company too, so we now have two companies that aren't in our mix of communication. I just think it could do a good job of re-communicating to the four that I know of, and to get some extra signs. I talked to John Coker yesterday, both from Canody and county, they're willing to do whatever we want them to do. They know it's not our responsibility as far as payment and signs and all that, we need to take the effort to get it done, and I don't know where do I toss that to? But I
Once we're outside of 55.
felt like I needed to kind of put that out there,
Well, yeah, you want to keep those temporary, so they're
Right.
good for so long.
yeah.
First big win for them.
Now, you got a super strong stakes, it's just, the temporary size.
Anybody else? Yes.
I'll second Steve's comment. I know similarly on the sign coming out at 13, things always end up taking longer than we thought. So as an interim measure, I would absolutely support just painting over those things. Maybe use that space for temporary signs, so we need that there. But yeah, those things could just be painted over.
Right.
And then since living and working on Mason, I'm the easiest person to reach for complaints, so I always love it when I get good feedback to pass on. And as has been the case before I've raised, I have this summer gotten more than ever a lot of very positive feedback on Public Works, on the promptness of keeping, even on weekends, the trash cans emptied, the parent cleanup that they did in the commercial district, I think early on the morning of the 4th, before the parade and all that. And twice in recent weeks, when I've just been doing something in front of my business, a member of Public Works has stopped and offered me assistance, like unsolicited. So that really contributes to the kind of community feel I think we want to encourage. So I wanted to shout out to that. And then in terms of what I've been getting the most complaints about lately, where are we on this additional signage for the municipal lot with gravel? There's a lot of problem with, and I'm sure it's just people who remember how we had it, but people are going both ways, they're trying to pass each other, and they're going too fast. And not just for people in my building, but all the commercial people there, I hear about it a lot.
To be brutally honest, I haven't done anything with it. I'll take that as a prod.
That's it.
Anything else?
I do appreciate all the work that was done on town code. When we get to the zoning ordinances, which potentially are even more changes, can we maybe do that piecemeal and have work sessions to go over that? Because it could be a lot of stuff. And we may be able to work things through in a work session and resolve some things and make it easier for the public to then see it, understand what the possible changes are. Because when the public gets all of this information at once without the benefit of being able to ask more questions, I think that's a challenge for them. So I'd love to be able to see us take it in a couple of chunks and have work sessions associated with that. Great.
Do you pay him?
All right, if there's no other comments, just a couple announcements. I see that there's a tentative meeting for the 3rd, but I'm thinking that's the Coast Guard the same evening.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were gonna get through everything, especially with the municipal code, so I was keeping that in reserve, but I don't see a need for it now.
Okay, so scratch
I'll
that.
second that.
Okay. And then our regular meeting will be August 17th. And then can I get a motion for adjournment?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Good job.